Fast forward in your career. You have the job, the paycheck, the lifestyle you'd always dreamed of. Yet something feels off. You don't feel as wealthy as you once thought you'd feel. You feel overworked and underappreciated. Yes, you have the money, but is there something still missing? Once more, we have Lesego Rankou, MC and speaker, Golden Key Honorary member, CA digital content creator, and co-founder of Ulwazi Olubanzi Academy, blessing the mic. We chat about the different stages of financial fulfillment and, depending on your goals, where you should strive to be on the spectrum. We also chat about her journey moving on from corporate, values-based thinking over beliefs-based thinking, lessons from her Bridge the Gap networking event, and more. I hope you enjoy. My travelers on the road to CASA. There was this crazy thing I read in a Yahoo Finance article that I want to share with you guys. Gen Z, us, believe financial success is $600,000, right? This is a US study. And a net worth of $10 million. That's our view of financial success. That's like our number of like, yeah, if I get that, I'll be financially successful. Guys, this is like, for me, it was crazy. 600K, that is hectic in dollars, especially. And $10 million net worth, it's also pretty hectic. So it's interesting where our minds have gone. And this is what we're going to be exploring in the episode. Really delving deeper into what actually it is that we want. And Lesego shares such an incredible thought that she had around this of financial contentment. But that'll be on the episode. And I hope that you enjoy. On to part 3. Let's get on to, and I remember you spoke about financial contentment, because I think this also really links up to this whole idea that we have, this idealistic idea of our career and adulting, and I'm gonna have a car and a mortgage. Nah, guys, you don't want a mortgage. But it'll all come. It'll all come.
You do not want a mortgage.
What was your view on the whole financial thing, money, back in school when you were a student versus now?
Sure. I think when I was in school, maybe it's upbringing as well, lived experiences, that money is something that needed to show on your immediate person, with things, with material things, with also how you went to certain spaces, So in as much as I understood that it gave access, it was a flawed view of what that access was like, And I wanted to go in certain spaces. I wanted to have certain things because that's what I knew money's supposed to do. Now that I'm an adult, I realize that if truly you don't place value on these things, you might have them and they mean absolutely nothing. You might have the house, the car, the clothes, I suppose. I'm just going to chase songs now. You may have
talking money. Hey, you were a city girl. I can see it.
You may have all these other things, but if you don't place value on them, they mean absolutely nothing. And now you start questioning, why then did I want money? Because I think we are all craving for fulfillment, even though we don't have the language to describe that's what we want. Because we thought if I could get this car, I would feel some type of way. If I had these clothes, I would have this type of view of myself. So the underlying of that is actually wanting fulfillment and wanting a sense of peace. And I think sometimes we confuse financial contentment and financial success, because even though they are both good things, they are driven by different things, you know? And I think for me, I've gotten to a point where I want financial fulfillment and I want financial contentment because of what I'm seeking, the underlying. I want the peace. So even if I had to live in an apartment or a small house or not drive the fanciest car or not even have the fanciest clothes, I have peace because I have all these experiences. I have a sense of security in myself when I sleep, you know. Whereas if I really wanted a lot of money, I knew what the cost of a lot of money was. Unfortunately, this is not always the case, but we are fed this narrative that you need to work more hours, you need to do more for money. And I'm gradually learning, yes, money is a measure of value. And if you don't get to a point where you ask yourself, what value am I bringing? Because somebody once said that the proportionate of what value you're bringing is how much money you're going to get. You know what I mean? So you go to work for 8 hours, which is a lot of time, but you are doing a standard thing. That's why you're getting a salary. No matter whether you do more or less, you're going to get that standard salary. If you are a CEO and you are making those executive decisions that are going to affect not just yourself, but multiple people and even the economy, then that is adding a lot of value. Hence, you are getting your millions. You know what I mean? So I think you can have a lot of money and still be fulfilled, but that financial contentment is that peace. It's that I am comfortable with what I have and I'm happy with what I have. And whether in monetary value it's a lot or a little, that undertone of peace is what people are seeking.
I actually I read this interesting paper. It was a US study, and they found that the point of diminishing returns, so the point at which your efforts actually yield less satisfaction. So this was actually a study on the one of the observations was on the impact of financial success on your emotional well-being. Yeah, quick sipping. Quick psycho
It's
sip.
like I said, that goes like that. Next time the podcast will be, next time you'll see like podcast sponsored by SAC.
So it was a study on the impact of wasn't the point of the study. I think it was a study on evaluating the correlations between like how we evaluate our lives on a holistic level, so like education, income, etc., all things, versus emotional well-being, which is genuinely how you feel, your fulfillment, the inner workings. So they found that the number at which you get less fulfillment for the money you make is $75,000, and I did the math. It's about 2 million rands. So, and that's about 160,000 rands a month.
That's what
Yeah.
I need. I
So,
think I agree with that stat.
you can sort
I
of
think I agree with that stat. I think I kind of see where it's going at.
so I said 2 million because that's before tax. So if you're grossing 2 million, and then I use the highest tax table for individuals. So like this isn't even if you're ethically avoiding as much tax as you possibly can, but with 2 million you get down to about 1.3 after tax, which is that's the basically the happiness number. That's $75,000, the maximum happiness number. So like if guys you know you're not in it for just money, if you know you're not in it for like that ambitious success thing, if you're in it for financial contentment, probably 1.3, which is like 110 after tax per month, it'll do a good job for you. 1.120ish. If you have like a goal, a good like 100K is probably gonna serve you well. And before we move on to the next thought, I just wanted to mention an idea that came to my mind of, so financial contentment for me is sort of like that's that's often the general goal for people,
Mm,
but they don't know it because that's where you can find fulfillment and you can live a secure life.
mm,
That's contentment. The level above that is
mm,
success, which is where guys like CAs often fall,
mm.
sometimes to their detriment, sometimes to their favor. And that's where, you've got, in some cases, these golden handcuffs
Yep,
where now you're the FD. So you're making the great money, but yeah, you're successful, you just lack in fulfillment.
yep,
You lack in freedoms. You lack in maybe some of the things that you thought you didn't know you valued, but you actually do,
yep,
like time
yep,
and location.
yep.
You want to travel, but you can't travel if you're the CEO of a listed company. It's
Mm-hmm.
tough, man.
Mm,
You got to stay here unless we're going to have a board meeting in London. You're going to be here in the office, chief. Um, but then the level beyond that is financial freedom.
mm,
And that is where, you can have a business that gives you that money, that gives you financial contentment,
mm,
um, as well as financial
mm-hmm.
success, but you also have
Mm.
time and you have location freedom. You can go
Sure.
where you want, whenever you want, kind of thing. So yeah, just as a like a sort of mental
I love
model for
that.
people looking at what level do I want? Do I want contentment? Do I want success? Do I want freedom?
Mm,
In my mind, I'm like sort of in success because I think I guess I'll call it freedom because I don't really believe I work for money.
mm.
I believe money is like a byproduct
It
of the
is.
things I
It
want. Like I have to have money to
it is.
make the change I want
I think
and have the impact I want.
I think people all want financial freedom. The reality is
Mm,
not a lot of us are going to attain it. And now you need to ask
mm,
yourself, what is the average of people? What average are people getting, right? And we all are in the
mm,
pursuit of financial success if we go with our own
mm,
desires. But some
mm,
people just get to financial contentment. And I always tell people it's not settling, it's actually accepting this is the level that is giving me fulfillment. Because when you are fulfilled, it's not even about a numbers game anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I have
mm,
peace of mind. I
mm.
can go out with my family.
Yeah.
I can still like satisfy my needs. Yes, there's certain things that I want, but I'm
Mm,
not driven by my desires. Like, I'm not loosely just swayed by, oh, there's a Louis Vuitton store. Let me get a bag quickly. That's gonna take me out of that financial contentment and put me back to the success where those golden cuffs are there again, you know. Do I want to live in
mm,
bondage? I don't think so. For a season, yes, I probably
mm,
can. But do I want my life to be
mm,
like that? No. But we all want
mm,
financial freedom. And there's certain seasons where those things are going to take the forefront. But the reality is, not all of us or majority of us are not going to reach that financial freedom, even though it is a genuine real desire. I don't think anyone will ever say,
mm,
do you not want to be financially free? Of course we all want to be. Are we going to be?
mm,
I think there's so many factors that play a role in that. Our limiting beliefs, our disciplines,
mm,
our ideas,
mm.
us not believing in ourselves, our lack of courage. There's just so
Yeah.
much. Like, this can become
Yeah.
another podcast, you know what I mean? But I'm just saying
Yeah.
that the
Yeah.
reality,
It will. It will. You'll come back just now.
I will
Don't
come
worry.
back. The reality is, I've decided that financial contentment is that average for me, and at any point in time, I can go for financial success. But the benchmark for me is financial contentment.
No, no. I think this is a really valuable idea, guys. Take it. Take from it what you will.
Mm,
Very interestingly, you mentioned that you would get into that financial success mode.
mm,
Haven't you been? Because I actually want to pivot now into that move from a managerial role
mm,
into now the role that you're in. You even mentioned it as one of your greatest achievements.
mm.
Why did you move out of that traditional corporate into this job?
I think because I did want financial contentment, I knew
Mm,
I was not willing to pay the cost to financial success. One thing that people don't realize is
mm,
certain biblical principles are true. You reap what you sow. I wasn't ready to reap.
mm,
the things for financial success.
Uh,
I just didn't want
mm,
to. You know what I mean? You can be not ready for it. It's not that I wasn't ready. I was more than ready. I was more than capable. It's not even a question of can she or can't she. I knew I could. I just
mm,
didn't want to, you know? And it was
mm,
like, I always know that I can locate financial success, and that's a given,
mm,
right? If I understand where
mm,
the location is, at any point in time, like I said, I can tap into that ring and step into that ring again. So I also needed to take away the pressure of what titles do to people. They kind of shift how you view
mm,
life. I think other people lead their lives with titles. Like you find out, oh, I'm a manager at a big four firm, you know? You start believing in that and weighing that, and you become a manager at a big four firm, even in the grocery store when it's not necessary. Do you know what I mean? Like when you are
yeah,
at home now. Why are you a audit? Why are you a manager at a big four firm at home? Do you know what I mean? And some people really
yeah,
believe in the title so much so that they don't know that it's not you. Like that is your position
mm,
at work, but it's not who you are.
mm,
Don't wear that as this is who I am. And I wanted to
mm,
cement that understanding to me. I'm such a I guess a learner that likes going through experiences. Yes, I understand. I love mentorship. Please don't get me wrong. I really believe in learning from other people's mistakes. But the true lessons for me are through experience, you know, and through like going
yeah,
through the fire. And I knew
yeah,
that at the very early stage of my career, I'm going to liberate myself from titles. You know, I'm going to
mm,
leave a manager role and go to an unconventional role that people look down on, offshoring space. Oh my gosh, you are a glorified trainee, you know, and get the financial contentment and get the peace of mind and understand that even when I am a person, I can still build, I can still network, I can still grow my platforms, I can still collaborate with Saika. Imagine I'm doing this as a glorified trainee and I'm not doing this in my capacity as a manager at a big four, you know.
mm,
I'm doing
mm.
this as Lesego the person. And it gives me even more courage to know that a title does not define me. It's a position at a space at work, but it doesn't mean I carry that position as my calling.
Big keyword trade-offs. I think we have to do the hard analysis of cost versus benefit, of risk versus reward, and I think just of values versus beliefs.
Yeah.
Because there's this idea that was posed by Adam Grant. He's a big social psychologist in the U.S. He's at Wharton University of Pennsylvania, the Wharton Business School, and he said this on a podcast with Trevor Noah. He spoke of this idea of beliefs versus values and not being rooted in this idea of beliefs, but rather in your values. Ask yourself not what do you believe, but what you value. So in this case, it's not asking yourself, sort of, let's say you believe, I believe that, I believe that family is important, right? Don't think about it like that. Think about it more of what do you value in family? Because family being important gets sort of the plot messed up.
Sure.
Truth be told, if you ask one person, it's actually that I value loyalty, and that's what they see in their family. But I was even talking to one of my friends the other day that that's not necessarily the case in his family. He more values the support that the family gives. So there's actual things. Maybe you value belonging, you value having a place, and it's so important to ask at these critical stages,
Sure.
like when you're about to take up a managerial role, what are my values? And are my values being furthered here? Am I getting that fulfillment that I will get from this role? Yes or no? Do your analysis, do your cost benefit. But as you said as well, only time will tell. I think experience is the only teacher in such an instance, because you won't really know, like for an example, that you You won't really know what you value about your children until you have them.
Yep.
There's a good example.
Perfect. Spot on.
Yeah,
Spot on.
yeah. Learning growth contribution. You did that event, bridge the gap. It was fantastic. It was a workshop, guys. The next one next year, you have to come. But
Oh, pressure,
yo,
pressure, pressure.
yo, it's coming. It's coming. That thing, Lesego, I'm telling you, that thing is amazing. But guys, that's not relevant right now. You even gave me this one insight that I think is so profound, which I'm just gonna share before we get into what learning, growth, and contribution is.
Yeah.
And you said at the beginning, I think one thing you've learned is that when you plant a seed, whether you like it or not, no matter what, it's gonna grow.
Yep.
And I was like thinking about that. That was like such a profound line for me. Like think about and literally now I've added it as like a journal prompt. Every week I ask myself, what seeds have you planted? Because
Oh.
think about all the seeds in your life, relationships. You met that one person that one time. You had that one interview that one time. You you read that one book. These are all seeds you're planting. And the longer or the more seeds you plant and the as time passes, the more growth you'll have. Like no matter what, when you read that book years ago, I think I remember Vin Zhang. He's a communication coach. He spoke. His father spoke of books being like soldiers in his army. I think the element of that's missing is that those soldiers are getting stronger, and those soldiers are getting smarter, and they're
Oh.
becoming even more skilled. Which, in the case of this, your tree is growing, your plant is growing, which was such a profound thought that I got from that event. Guys, you see, it was worth it. It was
Yes.
bloody worth it. What is it? And tell us about learning, growth, and contribution.
Sure, learning growth and contribution, my baby that's actually like becoming a toddler, that's going to become into
Hey,
this full-grown adult. I
hey.
had this idea because of like lack of information and also stumbling in the CSA journey that I kind of knew where I went wrong, you know, and I knew that it can't just be me. I was like, nah, you're not that special to make all these mistakes by yourself. Like, certain people are making these same mistakes. So I started first on YouTube where I started sharing my journey of CASA and also like the struggles that I found myself like landing in. And then eventually I told myself, you know what? On my YouTube channel, I'm going to focus on my CSA journey, but I'm also going to expand on my LinkedIn, where I started tapping into a more professional platform. Then my Instagram obviously was like my personal space. So I was like, hang on, I don't want to confuse my personal space with what I'm trying to achieve by giving people access to information. So I created a page on Instagram called Learning, Growth, and Contribution. Again, you will know from my stories, Alunga, that I unravel a lot, Sometimes I start with an idea and then it just unravels. This is how it came up. So I separated my Instagram and I started seeing a theme when I look back because I think I'm very ordered, but without realizing it. And I think maybe it's because of disciplines that even my mistakes seem very ordered. So they were like themes that were happening on my LinkedIn, on my YouTube, on my Instagram page. And I knew that with the feedback that I was getting a lot of questions from aspiring CAs, from people that are qualified, from people that are even students asking me, how do I better manage my emotional states of mind? How does it feel working in a big four firm? Can you give me any advice when I want to change my degree because you studied economics and then you went to accounting? How are you doing this corporate thing as a mom? And I knew that like I'm not gatekeeping um I want to say information that can really like be so, so deep that it can't be shared. I knew I could share it, but I'm not an online presence type of person. I grew up kokanana. I grew up with a lot of family. If somebody needed help, you actively help them. Don't just say the word and hope for the best. You went out to their homes, you bought the groceries, you helped them carry the bags, you did the things. So I wanted to go offline and actually say, I've heard the questions. this is my idea of what the questions are like, and these are the gaps that I hear people are like struggling with, and I'm trying to bridge those gaps. And that's the name, hence Bridge the Gap. And when I went offline with it, it's exactly what I do online, but it was more structured, more detailed, more thought through, more secured. I wanted to create a psychological safety for people, because I knew that the pivotal moments where I had breakthroughs was because I had psychological safety. I had a support structure. There were people that were on similar journeys, but I felt like I could be myself. And I wanted to create that in my event and say, I understand that we may all come from different walks in life, but we all gonna have to enter the workplace. We are all going to have to manage the workplace. We are all going to have to advance in the workplace. And there are different tools that are available. You might not be aware of them, but here's a tool or two, here's somebody that can teach it better. I mean, everything that was mentioned by the speakers were things that I could present, but I also didn't want to make me seem like I'm that unique when I'm speaking by myself. Here are other people that are also on this journey, and this is their perspective, and they are also saying what I'm saying, but they are probably doing it in their view, their lived experience, their experience. And so that's what learning, growth, and contribution embodies. It is really a safe place where I want people to have access to information and know that there are tools and resources available. There are people that can pour into their lives. I would love to go and work more on a mentorship program, a coaching program, a tutoring program. Those are all things in the pipeline. But I think, like any child, any purposeful person, there's an inception stage. We all come into this world as babies. Then we become toddlers. Then we become teenagers. Then we become fully fledged adults. Then we are thriving. That's the vision for my learning, growth, and contribution. Hence, I'm not going ahead of it. It's like I said, a baby that's becoming a toddler. Before you know it, they're gonna be a teenager, an adult, and there's learnings there. I really believe in feedback. I never think that my ideas are so great that I just do them. It's because of the feedback that I got the courage to do learning, growth, and contribution and do bridge the gap. Hearing what people are struggling with that help birth the different stages that it's going to become. So I'm really open to feedback. So if people were at Bridge the Gap, like I said, any amount of feedback was so amazing. I could see the posts on LinkedIn, on Instagram. People still talk about it. Like, even with the Stanley caps, with the Psycho Stanley caps, with you talking about the seeds and what you took from it. I think it's so beautiful, because that's what I want, to give people access to information in such a way that they have enough psychological safety for it to land and to stay. You can still put it in your journal and say, what seeds have I planted, because you felt safe enough to receive that information. So yeah, man, there's a lot I would love to do with it. And from my lips to God's ears, it's going to be much bigger than I anticipate. And I'm open to a lot of partnership. And I understand that this is a collaborative effort. It's not a one-sided idea. I think any great thing needs a lot of input, and it takes a lot of time, a lot of constructive feedback. And yeah, I'm just excited to see what it's going to become.
It is amazing. I mean, that insight was one of many, I must say. I literally did a whole post of like some of my top lessons. I have a lot. I've got like probably like 30
Sure.
little like important lessons. I can even name a few. One of them is, in order to grow, you need to pay, not just with your time, but with your money, with your wallet. Like, especially being a student, it's hard to like think about paying for something that's not food. Like, if it's nothing that's normal or just immediate, then why pay for it? But
Yeah.
the amount of connection and the amount of learning, and I say connection as in networking, because
Yeah.
that's all networking is. It's immense behind paywalls. It's immense behind that little entrance fee that probably covers costs I mean, this was one of the perks of coming to the event, which
Yeah.
is an amazing Stanley style cup.
Yeah.
Also met this guy. Can you see? This is a bit of a.
Yes, we
This is who
can.
I am. It spoke to me. The sticker that he gave me. It was like,
CA
yeah,
Hub.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout
My
out to
CA
CA
hub,
Hub.
Muhammad Ismail Bulbulia. I met such interesting people. So many more people, and it's like that $650 is nothing, to be honest, for the future growth. I actually wanted to zoom out on this whole concept of learning, growth, and contribution, in terms of the fact that I was doing some interesting reading on Africa, and it's so crazy, and it's something that we need to really think about and mull on. That this was another thing I learned at the event. Your COO, he spoke there, and he mentioned how Africa's got the youngest population, and we are the talent that the world is to poach, that they want to poach. All these Europeans, all these Westerners, they're very old. They are nearing retirement, and they're getting increasingly old, and fertility rates are going down. So there's population decline there. But yeah, not to get into the details. The gist of it is stuff like learning, growth, and contribution is like invaluable. It's vital, because as our young population is growing, we need more mentorship. We need more education. We need more learning, growth, and contribution. We
Yeah.
literally need more of these. And there's also such great commercial opportunity in these spaces. Like, if you have, guys, dreams of getting into education and self development, personal development, and just general improvement of lives, I promise you it's a huge industry. Africa's got the youngest population. So, as we are also getting more digitally enabled, as our digital infrastructure is improving, our educational talents and infrastructure needs to improve. And that means you, if you want to get into education, if you want to start teaching people skills and starting stuff like what Lesego is starting in learning, growth, and contribution, do it. There is huge demand for it in the future. It's coming. I
Yeah.
mean, education is one of those industries that are just they're involatile. Everyone needs education. But yeah, I just wanted to also just stress that what you're doing is a lot of what we need. So keep doing it.
I appreciate that. It's encouraging. And I think people don't realize the amount of self affirmation that has to take place, because you need to see value in what you're doing. And you need to understand that it's bigger than you. And I think we live in a world where if it's not about us, then is it worthy? And selfless work, I think, takes more effort because you constantly need to die to self. You constantly need to remind yourself that, like, there are people that might need this information more than I need it. There are families that are going to be liberated by one CASA in the family. There is a generation that's going to be unlocked by somebody just hearing something or having access to a certain resource that they wouldn't readily have available. So I really do appreciate it. I don't take it lightly, and like I said, it's dying to self daily.
No, it's profound. Before we get onto the last question, since we have to close, can you see it's almost 2 hours? I kind of knew sometimes it's just the flow. It just says don't stop, so we didn't stop. Um, before we move on to the next one, I just wanted to also raise this. You mentioned how you had this orderliness, or this continuity and structure, without realizing or trying. For me, immediately the thought that came to mind, and maybe this is a hypothesis, but I think it's pretty airtight. It's because you're authentic. So when you do the things authentically, what will often happen is you have themes in your life that are natural. You have this specific topic, it's your interest. And when you share your interests openly, you become known for that thing. And the more authentic you are and the more authentically you lead your life, the more you will actually have that through line, that alignment. And then you'll have this order that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
But you're literally just talking about the things that speak to you,
Yep.
the things
I
that,
love
that
that.
come to you.
I love it's airtight. It's
So,
definitely it's airtight. I receive
nah,
and I agree.
nah, good. Lesego, if you could go back to first year, second year, maybe even high school Lesego, what would you tell her?
Oh,
Oof.
don't just ride the wave. Put some thought in things, you know. And I wish I would have embraced myself sooner. Because one thing that I realized is it is really the hand of God that in my fumblings and my following the wave too much, it was from a place of naivety and also a lack of information. I think you mentioned it earlier that my decisions, they were like not well informed. And I think it's because of the fact that I was just riding the wave, you know, and I think I don't regret my decisions, but I just wish I really understood at that time that you can think for yourself, you know, you can have goals for yourself. And if you have interests, genuine interests, do something about it, research it, see what it can do for you, you know, because I think where I am is exactly where I needed to be, but I probably could have gotten there sooner. Do you know what I mean? Like, it
Yeah.
probably didn't need a lot of so many waves and so many, like, oh my gosh, you know, because at the end of the day, you will always gravitate towards self. But I just wish I understood and I would tell myself that don't just ride the wave, think for yourself, and your thoughts are also as equally important than others.
No, that's huge, and like I can even see on my journey, like when I failed, it was I attributed a lot to not knowing why I was here. So I just really didn't care, and it was also because I lacked information. I didn't make a completely informed choice. I wasn't making completely informed choices. But yeah, that's a pretty good one. Try not to ride the wave. Try to think. Try to be better informed. I wouldn't say I was thinking of saying as informed as possible, but that can often make you a little bit of a procrastinator. You hide behind the guise of being informed and you won't act. I think making informed decisions as opposed to perfectly informed decisions,
Oh,
because it just doesn't exist.
yep.
So yeah, that was yeah. Yo, guys, if you have not already, please tell us. So please follow this learning growth contribution. It will be in the show notes. Lisejo's LinkedIn, Instagram, all her social medias. She actually posts like different content on all of them, so you'll probably enjoy every single one. They will be linked in the show notes. Yes. Oh, this is a crazy one. Goodness gracious, guys. I hope it does not end, but that it begins in CASA. Lisejo, thank you.
Alunga, thank you so much for having me. Everyone, good night, goodbye, shop shop.